Good morning, everyone. This is David and Ninette, and we also have Denny here. And
Brave soul.
Brave soul. He's going to help us today, and then we'll have another volunteer tomorrow. But we're putting solar panels up today, so you want to definitely hang around and see how this goes today. This is always an adventure on Tigner Adventures, and this is our newest project, and that's getting the solar panels on here. You can look at our playlist of everything with this new diesel pusher we've been doing, and you can see that we got the roof prepared and painted. Now it's time to put the solar panels on. So we're going to start working on that. Watch out, pull yours out a little bit, Danny. There you go. It's just going to stick on that. Yeah. Okay. That's my battery. Okay. There you go. Come up higher?
Can.
Voila.
All right, we have come to day number 2. And I didn't start first, but hey, we have a new volunteer down there, Dawn. Hey, wave, Dawn. And we did all 3 panels at the first.
Yeah.
Get them all ready, and then
We did
as
great.
we started pulling up, I didn't pay attention to my notation. I made my wrong notation. I didn't understand what I wrote down, so we had them all backwards. Had to pull them back down and re-drill them all. So,
You didn't.
well, okay, she had to. She's getting tired of drilling. She's getting a little ornery because she's been drilling so much. So, anyway, I think we're all ready to put them back up again. So the issue was I made a notation on each one of the panels what I needed, but I said I needed male, so plug into this female, and when I got down there I thought that I meant up here was male and I needed female, so that's why the panels were exactly backwards. So we got it right. We're gonna pull it up and plug it in. All right, the solar panels are on the roof and all mounted down, so that's good. The only thing that's really left to do on the solar panels themselves is to put some, silicone around the brackets that I used to mount them to the roof. Now, when I screwed the screws into the roof, I put silicone all around the screws and then screwed down on that. So the likelihood of any water getting in there is pretty unlikely anyway, but I'm going to put some silicone around the brackets. I've taken this painter stick, and I don't know if you can really tell, but I've beveled the edge there so I can put some silicone on there, and I can just slide it along there, and it will leave hopefully a bead along the back side of the bracket. I can't really get in there because they're bolted down, but this will just give it an extra protection. I really hate using silicone, but in this particular case, since I painted the roof with silicone paint, nothing sticks to it anymore. So now I have to use silicone just to seal the little pieces of extra things that I'm putting on. And so I'm using this bath and tub silicone. It's white. It's rated for indoor, outdoor. So I'm gonna use that and just kind of go around there just to put a bead around there to help protect it. Well, the painter stick was too thick, so now I've got this little piece of other board. There's not a lot of clearance on that bolt that goes through to hold those panels to the roof, so hopefully this will work better. You can see that I screwed this down. There's silicone coming out from under here. There's silicone on that bolt right there. This is the piece of wood that I just beveled there. I'm going to put silicone on it and just kind of pull along the back side there, and hopefully I can get that up around here pretty good to help get that sealed. So they are also screwed into the top of the Eternal Bond tape, so there's a lot of protection on this. All right, so that's done and that looks good. I'm gonna actually come back with the paintbrush and paint over this, and that'll just give it some extra down here on the bottom, plus it'll make that bottom piece the same color as the roof. So make it look really nice. So I'm going to run the wire down the side of the refrigerator vent, and so I just need to kind of figure out about where this is going to go through here. I think that it will work pretty good, and it'll fit just under the actual vent itself, so that'll work out pretty good. Okay, so the wire is going to come down right through there along the side of this refrigerator, and it is going to go in right there where I kind of clean that dust off. So we got to drill a hole through there to figure out where it's going to be underneath. And there's our drill bit coming through right there, so that's perfect. Kind of knew about where it's going to be based on that water right below. That used to go to the ice maker. So anyway, we're gonna go straight down through the floor into the compartment below. All right, so that's where we came through. That's right at the edge of the refrigerator. We're gonna come down there and put our hardware over there. I used my oscillating saw, and I have cut away this screen so it lifts up here. We're going to do some fabrication on that later because I want to put fans in here, so I'll have to take all this off to be able to get in there for fans. But right now, all I need to get into is just this end where I need to put the solar through. And I have measured down this vent, and it's 171 inches. So I'm going to cut my wire here into 171 inch lengths. right, so I have this much left, and this is going to be used to go from the circuit box. This will go down to the circuit box, and then from the circuit box to each of the solar controllers is what this extra piece will be used for. The wire is all cut and to length, and I've labeled each wire so I know 1, 2, and 3. We have 3 different circuits coming down, and this one I pre-cut beforehand when I had the joiner box down here as to how far this would slide into that little squeeze gland thing, and how much wire would be needed to get into the connectors. So I have got that measured there, so I just need to finish cutting the sheath, the white part of it, off of these other 2 so they're like this, and then we're going to put some little ferrules on the end of this because it's really fine copper, and we want to make sure that we don't have any little strands going places they're not supposed to go. Now this is always a trick here because depending on how sharp your razor blade is, and since that's always changing, you just got to be really careful because you don't want to cut the wire that's, you know, the black and white wire there. I'm just trying to cut the sheath off, so I'm just trying to get enough of that broke off there that I can actually just pull it off and have it out of the way. Sometimes it's better to have a little bit of a duller razor blade than it is to have a really sharp one. I've cut into that extra wire really quick, so all right. A little piece here holding this up. There we go. Comes right off when you get it cut. On this side we have 1, 2, and 3 all done. And now we're gonna put some ferrules on the end. So these things are ferrules. What they are is just a thin piece of metal, round metal, and we're gonna crimp it down. So the one we're using here is the yellow ones, which is for 10 gauge. And you have different sizes in this particular kit. It came with, what was it, 1,250 pieces. The thing I really wanted was just this little crimper deal here. So if you look right there, it will crimp it nice and square, which is the connector that we have to go into is a square connector. So we want to have this be square to go in there. And so the idea is that this particular one, because you know it shows yellow right there, is what they call an insulated ferrule. And so, you know, the metal part is just right up here, and that's really where the contact is. So I want to just kind of measure back here far enough that I can trim this copper, or the sheath around the copper back. And then when I put the ferrule on there, I just want a little bit, just barely some copper coming out the end right there. Then I know I have it cut back there far enough. Now the only problem with these is they clamp onto the insulator, and then it just clamps down and pulls it apart. So when it does, it just kind of rips it around, and it's really not a really good, nice straight connection. But on the other hand, it's makes it easy to, if you can see, there is just hundreds of little fine pieces of copper, and you want to have fine copper. It's going to carry the current a lot better than just a couple solid pieces, you know. So sometimes, especially the bigger the wire you can get where the strands are a lot thicker, and they don't do as well as if you have really fine copper. So even when we get to doing our really big connectors, a lot of people use what they call welding cable. That's just because so much current can go through it. It's just a real fine copper strands. And so, all right, so we are right at the edge of that sleeve right now. So I'm going to go ahead and, using this crimper, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, right up there at the end of that, and push on that a little bit, and just spring loaded, so it locks until it gets far enough and then it pops open. All right, so there is our connection right now. And so now it's all nice and clean, and we don't have to worry about when, I mean, this works really good when you're dealing with the things we're gonna be dealing with, like up on the roof, and you're trying to put it into the connector and you can't really get a good eyeball view of it, you know? So a lot of times when that happens, you're kind of putting it in there and the other strands are coming out and they might go into the other side, and then you got a short. So this makes it a lot simpler and works really good. And the connectors we're using are square, so we're using a square one of these. You know, they come in hexagon and square, or circle, I guess they would. They kind of make a hexagon, but the idea is for a circle. But in our case, this works good. So those are done and ready to go up on the roof. So with that said though, what we're gonna do is we've got some of this little split tubing. We're gonna put this into split tubing where it comes down along the refrigerator. And that area, this is a 5-foot tube. And when I measured down the roof, there was 51 inches. Okay, so, you know, that went from where it kind of went from the top of the refrigerator vent to where I could see it coming into, you know, the bottom portion of the refrigerator there. So this 5-foot piece will work out pretty nice. So that'll give us 60 inches of this split tubing. And so when I measured it all out, I started measuring from here where the connectors were going to be, and I worked my way all the way down. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the split tubing on there, and then I'm going to measure back this way so many inches, and I can't remember exactly how much it is, so I have to look it up, but so many inches back, and then at that point that's where this split tubing will start. So it'll go through the connectors up on top into the circuits, and then once it's in the refrigerator vent area, it will be just in this tubing. And the nice thing about split tubing is that if you just start it, you can kind of twist that around, and as you go up it, it automatically just slides into place. So see, I'm just sliding that in there. So we'll slide this back down to where it's got to go, and then we're gonna tape around this all the way down through here so that it you know, doesn't open up. And we're just gonna put some tape, you know, just a round piece of tape to hold it closed. We're not gonna tape the whole thing, but anyway. So, and then I'll put a zip tie right here before it goes into the split tubing, just to hold these together so that they're not sliding around down in there once we go to put it in there. But I'll make sure they're all the right length first, because that's what's, you know, we want them all to be the same as they go into their little connectors. There is the conduit coming down right there. So I'm going to zip tie it to this electrical wire right there, just to give it some strength is to hold it there so it doesn't come sliding down any further than it is. All right, I'm going to run these wires into this box. So I need to cut them to length. And the key here is to make sure that we only cut one at a time, because these have power going through them right now. And it's about 70 volts. So we don't want to ruin our panels or by creating a big spark or anything like that. But one of the cool things about these little glands is they have holes in them, and we can just slide each individual wire into this combiner box. So the wire came down the refrigerator vent really easy, and I was able to direct it here very nicely. And this is inside. It just dropped through this empty compartment that's behind the drawers. And then I've got it into the base compartment down here now. And this is where all the equipment is going to be. So this is the end of this run. It's also the end of this video. I'm going to break this up into two pieces because there was so much to just getting the wiring done. I didn't want it to last forever. So this is part one, and that's just getting the solar panels mounted. We have power to those panels. I've tested them. They're putting out good power, so that's good. And now it's a matter of getting all the equipment hooked up and things like that. So I went out and got some wood, and you see right here I got a whole stack of Victron equipment here, fuse boxes and everything. So we are really close to being ready to start putting the wood in and start mounting each one of these pieces of this Victron system. This is just going to be all Victron, and so it's a little different than my last one, but this is a 50 amp version of solar, and so it's just a little bit different. I've done some installs with friends before where we've just hooked into one leg of the 50 amp, and that works. But since Victron has this new box out, and it does 50 amp 2 times, then it works perfect for the 50 amp rigs. And so we're going to go ahead and use this, and so we will be discovering how this all works in our next video. So thanks for coming along. I really appreciate you guys suggestions and help from a lot of friends that have helped do this. And my wife, she was a big help and always is. So she's back doing some other things, but we're kind of coming down to the end here. So we got just a couple more weeks to get this all finished, and then we will be moving our way up to Quartzsite, and so we'll be hanging out there for a little while. So anyway, that's it for now. So thanks for coming along. We'll catch you down the road somewhere, and if not, then on our next video. So take care.